So welcome to my book launch. This is my third book. So some people have kids. I don't, but I always say I gave birth to not one, but two and three books. Just a little look back. The Confident Food Shopper, I think, is always, to me, it's my most special book. It was definitely the one that took the most research, my biggest passion. It really reflected my interest in food ingredients and food quality. My second book, and I know I have some of my former patients. This used to be my business as a naturopath. It was called Naturopathic Milestones. So I know I have a few of my former patients here tonight. They made my life a pleasure, and they did really inspire me so much to write my second book. Talking to so many people, I learned how they think about their health, in some degree to how it helped them, and in other ways to how it worked against them. And so that really inspired me to write the second book. Yeah, it really was, as I said, the culmination of so many thoughts I had over many years. And I just wanted to read a little bit from the introduction of it, if you don't mind, because I have met you, perhaps not personally, but I know how you think about your health. You're either like one of my hundreds of patients who walked through my clinic door, or perhaps you resemble any of the thousands of consumers I've encountered and assisted at my local health food store. What you all have in common is that you are healthcare consumers. After 15 years, I think I know you, at least many of you. I don't mean to imply that I know you. But if you're like most people I've met, you have put yourself at the mercy of many experts at your expense. You've done so by underestimating your role as an expert patient and more broadly as a healthcare consumer. This message may make you feel uneasy. Does it feel accusatory? Shouldn't the blame for any bad advice or poor care be directed at the person or the article or the store from where you received your advice? If you have stayed within the confines of mainstream medicine, most of you have been a typical patient. You visit the doctor, you get your diagnosis, and then you follow the instructions. This relationship is one of convenience, for the doctor mostly, and habit. They give advice and you take it. You've been led to believe that two things count when it comes to the outcomes: the skills of all practitioners and the effectiveness of the treatments they provide. You don't even factor yourself into the equation, but you certainly should. You would not want a mediocre doctor, so why would you be a so-so patient or a passive healthcare consumer? The more evolved and involved you are as a patient and a consumer, the closer your healthcare will come to match your needs and your goals. The archetypal relationship we have with healthcare providers needs to be kicked to the curb. It's not in your best interest. You are often being shortchanged, and I intend to let you know why. That's a little bit of an idea of the book, and this is the table of contents. And everyone always says, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything, and yet doctors invest years into being great doctors, and healthcare providers years into being good at their job, but we invest very little on the other end. So like all my books, what this has in common is I'm very much about, teach a man or woman to fish. I think it's so much more valuable to teach somebody how to be more proactive and how to do things. So instead of just doing a recipe book, which I could have done, I call this a pseudo recipe book, because while it does have recipes in it, and people always asking me every time I published a book, are there recipes in it? I made sure there were, but this book is, it's about learning to make something yourself that can serve you and your health and teach you something. So I'll just explain a little bit about it. I think a lot is said in the title. So it's called the 3-Minute Liquid Meal Blueprint. 3 minutes because this is about making a meal that takes 3 minutes. So that's one of the great advantages. It's a time saver. I always found with my with my patients or other people that one of the limitations was you can have the knowledge, but not everybody has the time to take on learning new skills. This is also a blueprint. So rather than just a recipe, it's a formula. And this blueprint consists of 4 ingredients, at least 4 ingredients, plus there could be some extra ones, but 4 core ingredients in this blueprint. And the results, if you follow the formula, is that you get a complete meal. So by a complete meal, I mean that it has all the nutrients that you would need at a normal meal if you were making one, a healthy, complete meal. So I am going to read, you see here, just a little bit from the beginning of this book as well, so you can get an idea of what it's about. So you might be asking yourself, how is this recipe book different from others? I'm glad you asked. For starters, most shake-like recipe books feature smoothies or shakes. In the sports world, shakes are often a vehicle for muscle building and other performance-related reasons. A typical smoothie is tasty and a complement to a meal, or perhaps a standalone dessert or a snack. In contrast, the recipes in this book are the meal. They are designed to replace your breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You will have at your disposal quick, simple, and healthy meal replacements. The 3-minute meal can free up your time otherwise spent on food preparation, which can be dedicated to your remaining meals. But there is more. The truly unique features of the 3-minute blueprint is that it is a blueprint rather than a recipe. A recipe is a fixed grouping of ingredients. In contrast, a blueprint is a plan, a guide, a formula, or a method. And, as the old idiom goes, there is method to my madness. A method is designed to solve a problem. My formula revealed itself somewhat organically during my years of naturopathic practice. It helped me address the many challenges my patients struggled with when attempting to transition to a healthy diet. Early on, it became apparent to me that knowledge is not always power. Sometimes we need a method to help us apply our knowledge. Moreover, this method must be simple and repeatable. In other words, it needs to become habitual. The 3-minute liquid meal blueprint is a simple system that can be used and reused to create endless recipes. In fact, in its infancy, this blueprint was a 1-page handout for my patients, but that wouldn't make for a great book now, would it? So it is true. Initially, I just had a handout for my patients, 1 page. And if you wanted to put together this smoothie meal, I would say pick an ingredient from this category and 1 from here, 1 from here, 1 from here, throw them all together. This book is just an elaboration on a very simple formula. So each chapter describes a different ingredient category. I have a whole chapter on liquids, which is usually water, on greens, protein powders, nuts and seeds, fruits and berries, sweeteners, natural flavors, and then there's a miscellaneous. And if you apply the blueprint, then basically you come up with a recipe. You put your liquid in, your greens, your protein, your nuts and seed, your fruits and berries, and those are the core ingredients. So it's really just 4, but to make it more interesting and creative, you can add in sweeteners and flavors and even some supplements and things. But it's a very simple formula. And in each chapter I describe, you learn something about that category. So you might learn about what are the different types of protein powders out, what's the difference between whey and, different vegan proteins, how much protein do you need. In the green section, I'll talk about different kinds of greens, which ones are better if you're looking for more calcium, which ones are better, if you want something non-bitter tasting, in the nuts and seeds. So, if you're looking for a more a thick shake, which seeds are better to use. If you're diabetic, which are the best berries to use. So I give a lot of information in each chapter so you can taper the formulas to suit your own needs and learn something. And I also rate each of them. So in every chapter, I will rate what are the best natural sweeteners. For example, there's some platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. So if you want to be super healthy, you're going to pick the platinum ingredients. And I explain all of the different kinds of sweeteners, xylitol and stevia and yacon syrup. And so you have this great variety that you can learn. But even so, at the end of the day, you just follow the formula, and I give details about how much to put of each of the ingredients, throw them together and blend it, and it's 3 minutes. I also describe there's actually 6, that should be 6 features of the book. So one is, I really feel that for me, cooking and blending things always came easily, and I wanted it to pass that on. And I think this is a very forgiving formula, so that as long as you follow it, if you throw these ingredients together, you're going to come out with something that tastes pretty decent. But by encouraging people to try different ingredients and flavors, I think you develop what I call in the book your intuition, like your intuition, but realize that you can kind of taste things before you even eat them by just imagining them, the combinations in your mouth. Of course, you'll learn new stuff about about greens, about nuts and seeds, about berries. So there's a good learning component. The health ratings, as I mentioned. If you use this formula, you can literally make thousands of recipes by just juggling the ingredients in the categories. So the book, it's this thick, but you can make recipes as if it was an encyclopedia. And it always provides a balanced meal, and the meals can easily be vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, and keto. So also a big, not only is it a time saver, so in my life, especially when I'm busy, it really helps me to have one meal a day that I can just throw in the blender, and then I only have to focus on the other 2 to make them balanced and healthy. But it also, budget-wise, is great. It's really inexpensive on the whole to blend ingredients together, the types that you put in these meals, so you can save a lot of money. Now, one of the other unique features of the book, I think the reason why this was my favorite in terms of enjoying myself, was that this was a collaborative effort. So thank you to, so I should have named them, but Rebecca, Lisa, Julia, Kelly, Jasmine, Karen, Rachna, Sajeda, the other ladies, Magdalena, Jessie, Hannah, Jacqueline, and Renee are not here tonight. Now what you're looking at here is just 3 of the recipes in the book so this is of Jasmine, Lisa, and Julia's recipes. And these incredible pictures were done by Lisa, so a special thanks to her. I will be posting these on social media, and hopefully you can share them. But what I wanted to show you, which is really stunning, that you can see here that by throwing together a bunch of ingredients in this formula, look at the nutrition from this liquid meal. So for example, here in Jasmine's meal, we've got 161% of your daily needs for vitamin A met, 86% of vitamin C, more than half of your iron, almost half of your day's fiber needs, half of your protein, and 1/3 of your calcium. So you can see like these numbers are very high. Here you can get over 154 or 154% of your vitamin C in Lisa's recipe, and equally impressive here. So they're very nutrient dense, and yet they're incredibly tasty. I also have a whole section in the book of just these blank templates, because the idea is then maybe you'll try a whole bunch of the recipes, and when you get a feel for it, you're going to create your own, and you're going to write them down and save them. And then I also hope that you share them with me, and I'm going to share them on social media.